Well, I've been looking for a reason to bring back this channel, and lo and behold, the left has granted me the opportunity. If you're not into strong opinions, let me just warn you now. I've got two adult children with autism. I'm fired up. Now, if you've been laying under a rock the last couple of days, you might not know the situation, but for most of you who are active on social media, you understand what title of the video might mean. Long story short is there's been a lot of research done over the last decades, really. And even though most of this information that the Trump administration has brought into focus was kind of already a known thing, as soon as Trump said it, well, you know how TDS works. The left must go against it. Now, in a nutshell, what the administration has let pregnant women know is that, hey, you might want to consider talking to your doctor before taking Tylenol while you're pregnant. There is something there with autism. We believe it might be one of the causes. We don't have an exact causation, but there's a correlation, and there's a reason why I'm putting it that way. And of course, immediately, what these leftists have done is take the TikTok, and there are pregnant women all over TikTok taking Tylenol in order to shove it down Trump's throat. But don't take my word for it. There's just a couple of clips. I know most of you have probably seen these, but for those of you who have not, this is what we're dealing with.
28 weeks pregnant. You know what I'm gonna take? Some Tylenol, acetaminophen. It's gonna work like a charm, and my baby won't have autism.
Okay. So now we already knew TDS was a fatal disease, and now we've got the proof to it. Now, most people are going to fall into three categories. You've got the crazies that somehow think this is justifiable. You've got those of us who would consider ourselves not insane, and we say, yeah, that's pretty much par for the course. We already knew these people were nuts. But then there's a subsection of people that are asking the question, how did these people get this way? How did people's brains get so broken to the point that a doctor who is pregnant is taking Tylenol on purpose just to show that her baby won't be autistic? There's no level of words to express how insane that is. However, to answer the question in short, how did people get this way? I present to you the following clip from Chris Cuomo yesterday.
The administration quotes the dean of Harvard, okay, saying Tylenol can cause autism. Now, first of all, they said Harvard was shit. Now it's back. It's great. Okay, fine. Let's put that to the side. The report does not say that. The report found an association between Tylenol and autism. What does that mean? Correlation, not causation. In fact, no, quote, definitive causation.
Now I'm going to play that audio back again with the words on the screen so you can listen to what he's saying and read along with the words. Let's do that now.
The report found an association between Tylenol and autism. What does that mean? Correlation, not causation. In fact, no, quote, definitive causation.
Did you catch that? Did you have a problem following along with what he was quoting and what you were reading? If you did, good, because he's not quoting what he was reading. He's making shit up. Now, Cuomo, I'm just going to speak directly to you, even though you're never going to see this. You're a sick, disgusting, demonic excuse for a subhuman. It doesn't deserve to share this planet with the rest of us. But it's reporting like that. That's how people got this way, because there's no level low enough for these people to not make things up and lie about if it can go against Trump or anybody that they would consider on the right or MAGA. And then, as if that's not bad enough, there's this. And that's where it gets a little bit personal for me. Now, I'm 54 years old. I have 3 adult children, 2 boys. Both boys have autism. My youngest son was diagnosed in 2001, about 6 months after his MMR vaccinations. And my youngest son If I said youngest first, my oldest, my oldest was diagnosed in 2001. My youngest son was born in 2004, and we kind of knew from the get-go what was happening. But what I can tell you is this: the idea that you wouldn't want to limit the possibility of this happening to your children is not just insane, but you don't deserve to have the kids that you're going to have or the kids that you do have. You just don't. You're not suitable to be a parent of a human being if you believe these things. And in terms of autism not needing a cure, disgust just doesn't even cover it. Again, subhuman, demonic infested, and less than worthy of sharing this planet with us. Now, unfortunately for us, or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at things, those of us who are not insane just don't go around shooting people while they're talking. So that option in terms of cleansing our world of these assholes really isn't anything but the last resort, although if they continue to shoot at us, you never know which way it's going to happen. The only way that we're going to live in peace, those of us who have not lost our complete sense of humanity and our minds, the only way that we're going to live in peace is the complete eradication of their ideology. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we need to point things out when we see it as much as possible. And we're going to need to become a little bit more aggressive in deterring people like Chris Cuomo from feeling comfortable spewing such nonsense. I don't care about what you might think about the First Amendment. He has the right to say those things. Technically, you can get into the nuance of things when you're talking about being media and all of that. But I think we would all prefer the right, under any circumstances, to open up our laptops and say whatever the hell crazy thing we want to say. It doesn't mean it's freedom from consequences. And unfortunately, and I'm not talking about being physical, I'm not talking about pulling what the left has done to Charlie Kirk. But unfortunately, we're going to have to up the game in terms of consequences for these people. I don't know that there's going to be a high enough level of shame for them to understand the damage that they're inflicting upon the rest of society who's not lost their mind. And it's not even just Trump derangement syndrome at this point. It is almost as though politics has been made into a sport where you just have to root for one team no matter what. And anything that the other teams do is just immediately wrong and bad. We've all seen the memes where if Trump cured cancer, the left would start coming out with articles about how cancer is not really so bad. It's actually kind of good for population control. Your grandma wanted to die a long, agonizing death of cancer. How do you know that she didn't? These would be the headlines. They may sound like Babylon Bee headlines, but let me tell you the last thing. When my son in 1999, 2000, he was born in 99. In 2000, after the set of MMR vaccinations that he had, he started having a lot of symptoms. My first pediatrician was, no, he's normal, he's fine. He's just slowly developing. We knew differently because we knew where he was before the vaccinations and we knew where he was 2 weeks after. But the point I'm trying to make is that the only real resource we had back then as parents were other parents. The internet was kind of still in that infant stage. There wasn't as much information out there as there is now. And I can tell you one thing for sure. When the parents got to talking about what was happening, what was working, what we believed the causes were, things like artificial colors and other sources of processed food, the majority of the things that we were talking about were considered conspiracy theory back in 2000. Now those things are considered established science that you'd be a fool not to believe. So the point I'm making there is even the things that we think we know now, in 20 years, they're going to be completely different. And people are asking, well, because there are doctors, as I showed you. There's doctors on Twitter now coming out and talking about Tylenol and the autism.
Why is Tylenol associated with autism? First, if you don't know me, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I have a PhD in cellular and molecular biology from University of Michigan that was done in the Department of Immunology, and I have been studying the childhood schedule and injections for about 10 years hardcore now. So Tylenol is associated with autism because it depletes the body's major antioxidant, glutathione. Glutathione is what mops up inflammation in the body. And when the body is critically depleted of it, it either goes septic or, especially in young or premature infants, they can actually pass away. It can cause things like SIDS. So the maintenance of glutathione is extremely important. And even doing something like mom taking vitamin C as a supplement while she's nursing can be critical in helping mom and the baby to resupply glutathione. So what happens is if your body doesn't have enough glutathione, it gets extremely inflamed and it just can't handle cellular stress. And the inflamed state of the brain is what is highly associated with neurological disorders such as autism or ADHD.
And there's people saying, well, if you knew this, why didn't you speak out? Well, because they got banned, you dumbasses. You got censored, you got banned. My personal story with COVID is really short. I had COVID, I took ivermectin, and within 2 days, I was fine. And when I went to Twitter and I said I had COVID, and then a couple of days of ivermectin, and then I felt fine, that's all I said. And the post got taken down for misinformation. So if you're wondering why you're just hearing things now and why people haven't been sounding the alarms, they have. We have. We've just been being censored and eliminated from society, called crazy conspiracy theorists. And now, whoopsies, we might have been right again. So for Chris and the rest of you, why don't you go take enough Tylenol to finish the job? That'll make our lives and jobs a hell of a lot easier.